Good evening, friends. Hello to one and all. We are back, most of us, for From Us Came Dusk, a Dungeon World game with my friends here. We are Colas tonight, as she has some other things going on, but we will try our best. I'm really sad because this means no Nettle. And no, what are you doing in my forest? Ow, ow, ow. I can't do that voice. I really can't. But we're going to miss it. Cole, hope you're well tonight. Hope everything's okay. And hopefully we'll catch you later. In the meantime, by way of introductions for the rest of us who are going to try to make do without those two, I'm Kyle. I will be your dragon manager this evening. I use he, him pronouns. And we're going to go around and introduce everybody else. Starting with, let's see, this time, Forda.
Hi, I'm Forda. I go by she, they, and occasionally he pronouns. I can talk, I promise. Completely blanked on what I was about to share, but it's gone. But
it's fine. That's what we. Oh, who are you playing? Tell us very quickly about your character. That's what we need.
Luca. Luca is a bard who is one part elf, one part dragon, and one part cloud, and he's a neurotic mess.
Who needs boring-ass Tolkien stuff? Not us. That's who. I'm such a fan of Luca. In many ways, honestly. Because I saw the character art we saw last week was just so good. That constantly nervous face. So fun. Jesse.
Hi, I'm Jessie. That's Who's the Moose, she, her pronouns. And I play Piper, our very cheerful gnome cleric.
Right.
Who will try her best to be the Nettle we are missing in energy and spunk.
Oh, that's a tall order.
It's a very I
was gonna say they're the two short ones. I wanted to talk about why in a second. I mean, Luca's normal size, and Gnome and Nettle is an imp ranger who will not be catching up with us. So imagine imps and gnomes, not real big, but they're big in heart, and that's what matters, right? Yes.
Yes.
And then Jimmy, tell us about the big guy and yourself, of course.
Speaking of big hearts, he literally has probably a very big heart.
I imagine his heart is like the size of Nettle.
Yeah, probably. I'm playing Lucius, who is a troll paladin, who is also kind of he's like cyborg scrap metal punk. Yeah.
Yeah, the cyborg troll paladin who's 8-something feet tall. It's great. Yeah. So that's super fun. So, where we are on our, this is session 3 of a 4-session arc. For anybody who has previously played Dungeon World and occasionally see some things that don't quite light up, we're playing a hack of Dungeon World called Homebrew World, where almost everything's the same, but there's some adjustments made to the playbooks and so forth to kind of better suit short arcs. So experience works a little bit different, and backgrounds and races work differently because that needs to change. Anyway, it's all super fun. We're in sort of a science fantasy. I call it a cyber fantasy world because it's if imagine a world that's way, way, way in the future and has science and technology, but a lot of that is just left over from the old civilization, and so it's almost like magic now. But it's also kind of fantasy, partly because we have imps and elf dragon cloud hybrids and these other things, but also because we have things like trees whose undergrowth are old computer cables, like VGA cables and old printer cables and stuff, and we have cyborg paladins with secretive orders who have tried to create artificial intelligences and not yet succeeded, right? And where we have been the last few weeks was exploring an old cave that turns out to be an old scientific outpost a vault of biological research data, and defeating some sort of intrusion of chaos, some kind of chaos ichor into the world, and trying to save the biological data that was discovered therein, and making friends with the AI who looks like a dragon. I wonder if Luca has had any thoughts about suddenly seeing a person that looks kind of like them, not entirely, but like there's something there, right? So after kind of cleansing that particular infestation of the chaos ichor, the Vault AI named Isaacs told them that it's also at another place, one of their other scientific research outposts from that's very, very old, kind of it's not really active anymore in some sense, has also started to experience this, and they would like these adventurers, really just kind of local villagers who are now off on adventure, and by definition are now adventurers, to head off and take care of this thing, hopefully. So let's kind of start off the scene there, kind of outside of the vault with the three of you. We'll kind of hand wave the fact that Nettle's not around and just not think too hard about it.
Nettle's sleeping on Lucius's head or something.
Yeah, like in his little back, like his backpack or something, right? Like, I mean, it's like
in his calf compartment.
It's like a grown-ass adult carrying like a little bitty baby on the back, almost. Yeah, his calf compartment. That's good. So let's start. Let's have a little bit of that fiction. What does it look like as you're deciding how to proceed to the other, I should say, location? You decided not to go to Viora Town.
Wait, I thought we decided
I
to
thought we
go
did
to
decide to go to Viora.
Oh, I thought you. No, I thought you. What I had was that you were gonna go first to this location, and then depending on what happened there, maybe go from there to the town on your way out. There, maybe if you go to a third place.
Oh, last time we'd been tracking that Viora was closer, and so we would hit
Oh,
there.
okay. Well, if you want to go to Viora, we can go to Viora. I'm not gonna tell you no.
Wait. I can't remember what we decided.
I mean, that's what my notes had. But y'all, they are your characters. You decide. There's no railroad here. So the three of you tell me where you're going.
Whoa! I feel like I have slept for a whole week. Let's go. Where are we going? We're going to two places, right?
Yeah.
So one has more of those chaos nasties, and the other has a guy who might want this information and stuff.
Oh, what's that? I was outside, keeping watch.
So the ghost that isn't a ghost, Lucius says it's an AI, but it told us that this is biological data. I can't read it, but I know somebody who might be able to.
Okay, yeah, that makes complete sense. I mean, if there's already dangerous grossness in the second one, and maybe it has more data, we could go to the second one and then go to the town?
And the town is on the way to the third one, right?
It appears so, yes.
Are there any diagonals?
Yeah, it's a little bit off to the side. We're just kind of hand-waving how you get there, but you know kind of where the places are. Are there any diagonals? I mean...
I feel like our fastest route might be the second place, then to the town, like you said.
Yeah, I think what we determined last time was that the second one was almost on the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't take notes, so I don't know.
It was a very long night for me. I left you that because then what if we go to that guy and he's like, oh, I need more data, and then we have to go to that place anyways and fight the grossness and then come back to town. And listen, like, you guys can cover a lot of ground, but I'm only 3 feet tall. Like, I have to run to catch up with you guys constantly.
Not if you lead the way, you don't.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
Give me a direction.
Um,
On that trail we blaze.
right, right. So,
Let's spin in a circle and go in one direction.
let's see. Tell me on your way there, and this is the sort of kind of you tell me a little bit about the world sort of thing. Tell me one thing that you're kind of keeping an eye out for on your way out there. Something you kind of want that you're kind of trying to avoid.
Okay, so wait, I feel like I'm really channeling Nettle right now.
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
So I think there are, I want to say, magical, like kind of like Warforged, where it's metal and wood combined creatures, and they can be birds or bird-like or animal-like, but basically they're bad news bears. They're bad news bears. They're bear shaped.
All right.
And they can either attack or they also flock. They tend to stick around in packs or flocks. So you want to avoid seeing a lone one, because when there's a lone one, there's probably more hidden, and we just don't want to mess with them right now, because while they're good scavenging parts, like we don't have time for that. We've got grossness to deal with in a cave that's not a cave.
I mean, literally grossness, right? Like the grossest of grossness.
Racist.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Gross like sounds.
All right. Let's do this. How about whoever's leading the way, which I think we determined sounded like was going to be Piper. Can you roll plus wisdom?
Right, and it's 4 dice. Sorry, it's been a week.
No,
It's been
2d6 plus your wisdom.
Okay. So, it's 4 dice.
I know, and last time we got interrupted, and that was only your second time playing anyway, so it's fine.
Oh my god, what the heck?
2d6 plus whatever.
Is 18?
What?
I don't think that's
Oh, sorry. No, that's false. It is 12. Cool.
right. This makes more sense now. Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
You got an extra 6 in there someplace.
I did. I just knocked the
It's
I
fine.
chose the 2 lower ones, which were 2 5s.
Oh yeah, no, you just rolled just the 2. That's all. Yeah, unless you have there's an advantage or disadvantage mechanic, but you didn't have advantage or disadvantage here.
No,
it was
I
just
don't.
straight
I
here.
just rolled 2 dice.
Okay.
Plus-
All right. Cool.
Still
All right. So you reach your destination. Tell me the most interesting thing on the journey.
The most interesting thing was while we were avoiding a bad news bear,
Which are apparently birds.
which are whatever, this
Do they shapeshift like Transformers, kind of like they shift from?
maybe they like are also gross, and they shift their parts around depending on what terrain they're in. While we were avoiding a bad news bear, which can be whatever it wants to be, who are we to decide? I would like to think that we found like a really nice, pretty, like bioluminescent grove, and I have plucked a glowing yellowy green neon fern from this grove, and I have placed it upon my hat.
Oh yeah. So tell us that because this is a thing from before. Tell everybody about your hat.
Oh yeah, so I wear a hat, and it's got like a brim, and I've sewn a metal ring that I got from a machine. But I also like to, as I'm traveling through the woods, or if I'm with Nettle, we like to collect different plants and add it to my hat. And so it's like a little flower crown, but it's cooler than a flower crown because sometimes it glows.
A gnome cleric with a flower crown that sometimes glows. I'm sorry. It's a hat with a flower crown on the hat.
Yes.
Yes, we've seen the art. Well, we saw it last week. For at least those of us who were here. Not all the rest of you losers who weren't here. I'm just kidding. Not you were here. You were here in spirit.
I was here in spirit. I was the ghost in the machine.
Right, yeah, right. And also you had like a real life emergency to deal with. So that happens. All right.
Long Tuesday.
Yeah, sounded like it. All right, so you get to this location. Tell me, each of you, I would like you to tell me one thing about this location that indicates to you that it is old and or forgotten. This is an old, forgotten place. Tell me what things stand out to you. Like, what is something that your character would observe that makes you realize that it's old and forgotten? Outside.
Oh, go ahead.
You can go.
So as we were approaching it, I didn't notice anything because I'm not very woodsy, and I almost fell in it because there's this huge, like, soft moss just, like, all over it. So I almost fell in a hole. Again.
Again? Did you fall in a hole before?
It happens.
It happens a lot? Okay. Fair.
I'm gonna say that maybe there's like some sort of like well or water fountain, something that like obvious like people would come here to drink water, but it has been like overgrown. But instead of like being overgrown by like vines and plants and stuff, it's being overgrown by like circuitry and wires and tubings and things like that. And it basically looks like all the stuff is kind of like growing like sort of vine, but it's all technological, all wiry and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. I think that fits with what we said with the trees last week and all of this stuff. No, I like where these things kind of merge. The bioluminescent grove and the huge soft moss merging with a well that's been overgrown by circuits and pipes and tubes. It's cool. That's cool. What about Piper? What's something that Piper observes that tells us that it's an old, forgotten place?
Well, Piper is very low to the ground because, again, I'm very short. And so I think she would notice when the ground wasn't, dirt and grass and viney weeds or whatever, but it turned into tile. And it was really nice tile that vines and grass had pushed up. So it's kind of like a cobblestone. But it's not. We've seen streets before, and this isn't streets. This is like the tile that you would find in a fountain or in a nice entryway. It's very smooth and look at it closely, like shimmers.
So tell me about the shimmering.
So the shimmering is. catches Piper's eye because she's so low to the ground.
Right.
And I'm gonna kneel down and look at it, and it kind of looks like if you shine a torch on some granite, sometimes it's got that shimmer, but there's also some weird pulses that go through. And I've seen it on old tech before where there's this little light that sometimes it just shoots across some wires or some glass, but this is the first time I've seen it in like stone, or maybe it isn't stone.
So as you're looking kind of at the side of this hill, one of the things that catches your eye is that for the most part it's kind of bare rock with a few vines and so forth here and there, little tufts of grass, but there's one patch of moss that is kind of on the vertical side of the cliff and is almost in a perfect rectangle. Like it's got unusually straight edges to it. What do you do?
Guys, I don't think moss grows like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure from what Nettle has told me, that's pretty unnatural. I'm not going in.
You are going in, or you're not going in?
I'm going in.
Okay, sorry. I thought you said I'm not going in. Like,
No, I'm
no
going
way.
in.
Okay, so
Piper was the first one into the other cave. Like.
that's true.
I'd like to add that while she's, walking forward and going in, like, Luca, he's pulled out this, like, notebook or something. He's, like, trying to consult notes. He's like, okay, so we know these things are slimy and gross and weird, and they like to sneak around, sort of, maybe. And he's, like, trying to get a game plan together, but, like, that's not happening.
I think while you do that, like, Lucius is, like, standing behind you, like, waiting for you to just kind of go forward, and he just, like, pats you on the back, and you just, like, slide forward. Like,
kind of
just sort of, like,
stumble,
yeah.
and it's like, oh, okay.
Do. Piper just marches in, like, I am confident nothing bad's going to happen, something bad's going to happen. Who cares?
I mean, maybe. So you go through, and it turns out this moss is holographic. It's not real. You could just pass right through it, and it's just light. And on the other side, there's this corridor that kind of turns left and right a few times, but the walls and ceiling and floor are all that same sort of smooth tile that you saw outside. But now you can see, now that it's not got a little bit of grass overgrown, it's not kind of broken up or whatever by the elements, you can definitely see that pulsing every few seconds, bloop, bloop, leading you forward. What do you do?
Guys, I think we need to
gotta
follow
touch
the
it.
walls.
I gotta touch the
Yeah.
wall.
You've got to, did you say touch the wall?
I gotta. It's like, it looks so pretty. I gotta touch it. This is the reason that I'm not allowed in the woods unsupervised.
It's so pretty, I need to touch it.
Yes! Is that flower poisonous? I don't know. My hands are all over it, though.
Right. So as you touch it, you can feel these ridges, right, where there's smoothness and roughness. The ridges themselves are very smooth. The flat surface themselves are otherwise sort of rough. And they have these intricate patterns sort of etched into them. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'd go over to Luca to also maybe not touch it, but like I want to try and see this light better without it being obscured. Do I also see these etchings?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's almost like circuit boards.
Like, as I'm tracing these etchings, like, it's jogging, like, memory of, like, things I've heard / studied, in books and at this college I was in. And it's honestly giving me a lot of, like, terror vibes on the one hand. Like, it's really pretty, but, like, in the back of my mind, there's, like, this entire wall is reactive. It could power something, probably, under the right circumstances, and maybe I shouldn't be standing in it.
But the floor is doing the same thing, by the way. The floor and the walls and the ceiling are all exactly the same material.
And, like, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm imagining this space that is kind of like this sort of rounded, arched kind of room.
Okay, yeah, you're still in this long hallway, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we should follow the lights, right? Let's follow the lights.
All right.
We should follow the lights.
Piper's following the lights. What is Lucius doing?
I guess I'll follow the lights as well. I'll just, like, see where they're going and just kind of follow right behind them.
Okay.
They haven't sensed any danger yet, so they're not really taking charge yet.
Are you keeping an eye out for danger? Are you looking
Yeah.
around?
They're definitely like keeping an eye out.
Okay. Is sounds like maybe you're trying. Maybe one of you is maybe trying to kind of study the situation closely. So who wants to give me a discern realities roll? Sounds like at least one of you is.
I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, you were kind of fiddling with the walls and so forth. So, but with Lucius helping, why don't you go ahead and make it with advantage? And we'll see. Of course, if nothing bad happens, obviously that means that Lucius shares in the risk. But I think it's, he's keeping an eye out. Luca is inspecting closely. So just 3d6, pick the two highest, and add your wisdom modifier, which I think you said was 0.
7 total.
7 total. Okay, so you can ask one question of these. What happened here recently? What's about to happen? What should I be on the lookout for? What here is useful or valuable to me? Who or what is really in control here? And what here is not what it appears to be? They're all good questions.
Those are good questions.
So, unless anyone has a better question to ask, I really want to know who or what is really in control here.
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I'm going to tell you the answer. Because you're kind of like... So, Luca is kind of feeling along the walls and looking around. And Lucius... Good night, Dan. Lucius is kind of keeping an eye out, looking around. And as you're going down the hallway, you kind of come around to Ben, and suddenly you see up ahead of you this very large chamber. And there's a lot of stuff in the chamber, but the main thing that and there's a lot of tech stuff in the chamber, I mean to say. A lot of equipment and broken down old stuff. But one thing stands out, and that is in the dead center of this very large circular room, almost like a cavern, is this big, organic, fleshy, like, almost like a snout, but it's like 5 feet across and 20 feet high coming out of the ground. It's clearly whatever has made this thing is in control.
You said snout?
Perhaps
the better word is proboscis.
Even worse.
It's not a better word.
I'm going to stand. I'm gonna stand in front of everybody and hold a defensive position. I think.
Oh, all right. Yeah, you want to roll defend?
Yeah, and I think I can roll with charisma. I think.
Whatever. If you have something in your playbook.
Yeah, divine grace. When you defend, roll charisma instead of con, and I get additional choices.
Cool.
So, is this because of the discern realities? Do we get advantage on this? Or does that only count for Luca?
I think that since you aided, I'm going to say yes.
Okay. And I got a 5 and a 3. That's 8, 9, 10 with charisma.
Sweet.
So 10.
So you get 3 readiness. So in addition, so you get some special choices as a paladin. The basic choices are, as long as you're in this defensive stance, if there's an attack against your comrades here, you can suffer the damage instead of them. You can have the damage or effects draw attention to yourself, or strike back at an attacker. And then you've got a couple of more, right? What are they?
Yeah. My additional choices are blaze with righteousness, making all demons and undead recoil from your presence, and stand fast, holding your position despite what befalls you. So
okay.
Can I spend that readiness for the blaze of righteousness to make demons and undead recoil? Is this a demon? Would this count as a demon or? No?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
You probably want to figure out what's in here first.
Okay.
Because clearly this thing it's this big kind of, it's almost like pulsating Like you can see going from the bottom up to the top these occasional pulses of like it just kind of like bleh, bleh, this giant proboscis sticking up out of the ground. But all around this place is all this other equipment. It's this old broken sort of tech equipment, and in a few places you see kind of these arcane sigils glowing on the sides of the various apparati, and you see like broken wires and conduits coming out of some pieces, and you see kind of flashing lights occasionally in the ceiling. There are other kind of doors and glass walls in certain places kind of around the circle. Like this is like the center of a facility. What do you do?
Time to tiptoe. I'm gonna hug the wall and like go for the nearest door because that thing in the middle of the room looks scary.
I guess I'm like just like going right in front of you as you're hugging the wall. I'm just like hovering in front of you, just kind of like shuffling.
Right. This is what he does every day.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing like this wall of a cyborg troll.
I am ready. I have my readiness.
Right. Yeah. No. Literally. What is so? I'm gonna hold on to a thread right there with Luca. Piper, what are you doing while the other two are doing that?
I think I'd want to. Sorry, Lucius. I want to look at these broken apparatuses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing I'm going to do, so now I've got kind of what everybody's doing. So shifting the camera around a little bit, I would like Luca, first of all, to defy danger.
Okay.
Because danger looms, the stakes are high, and you're kind of sneaking along the wall. So I think to defy danger plus dex, it sounds like.
Okay.
No, sorry, for Luca to do it, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure that I said the name wrong because the names get twisted up in my head. Lucius and Luca.
It's very confusing.
So, I got a 4.
4. All right. Okay. And
5 plus dex, but
your dex is a -1?
no, my dex is +1, so I got a
Got a 6?
I got a 4, and then I add dex, so 5.
Oh, okay. I had it reversed in my head. I thought you had a 5 on the dice. It wouldn't matter. 6 is the same as a 4. So I've got one hold there, as it were, as a GM, so to speak. And Piper, why don't you roll me a discern realities as you are closely studying that stuff?
Oh, whoa, wrong sheet. Okay.
So 2d6 plus your wisdom, just
It's
straight up.
7.
Okay, so now you get to ask one of those questions. I want to get that question first, and then because maybe based on that, maybe that'll help with what we do with Luca and Lucius there on the kind of sneaking around the walls.
I want to ask, what should I be on the lookout for?
Oh, excellent. So, what you should be on the lookout for is that proboscis, because remember I mentioned that it was pulsing? Now the top of it, there's like a rim around the top of like this long, think of like the snout, the snout is not the right word, but that kind of long mouth of a like a mosquito. This is what a proboscis is, right? Mm-hmm. And the rim around the top starts to glow this angry red as soon as Luca kind of is like scooting along, and I think Luca kind of like steps on a piece of circuitry that appears like broken off of it. It seemed like it was just debris there, but as soon as they do, it kind of snaps, and that's when this proboscis starts to glow, especially the rim up there. That is definitely the thing to be on the lookout for. All this other stuff is like broken old Magitech equipment, right? But this proboscis, it doesn't look anything like all of the other broken stuff in here. Like, it is clearly out of place. And now, it's doing something.
Is there like a wire from the proboscis to Lucas' butt?
It doesn't seem not immediately obvious.
Well, is there something like what exactly did Lucas step on, I guess?
So Lucas stepped on what seemed like some broken old wires and equipment, and you're not sure if it was the snapping sound, if there was some connection, or if it just happened to be at that moment. Luca probably doesn't think that, I'm guessing. But that's just speculation on my part. See, what I imagine, what I love is, Ford, of that face that you're making, I imagine that being like Luca's actual face right now.
Constant.
Good.
Hey, Luca? I'm loud whispering. Hey, Luca?
Yeah.
Can you try lifting your foot?
Okay. And so I do like real slow, like.
You
Does
lift
this
it.
change anything?
No, the proboscis are still. Bleh, bleh.
Nope. Nope. I'm running. Bye.
You did something bad.
You're running. Are you? Where are you running to?
The nearest door that isn't the one we just came in.
Oh, very good. What, Lucius? What are you doing?
I don't know.
Okay.
You describe the scene. I'm like.
So
kind of
Luca is running
Yeah.
towards a door. I know you had an interruption there. Luca is running towards a door. The proboscis is pulsing and glowing. Piper is up, not right up to it, but kind of nearer it than the two of you. And it looks in this room like something terrible must have happened a long time ago to destroy all of this sensitive, magical, technical, scientific equipment. And Luca is just taking 3 steps towards the
Yeah.
door.
I guess I'll follow suit with like still facing the thing in the middle of the room, like just walking backwards
Okay.
till I get to the door.
All right. I got you. Piper, what are you doing? Are you kind of staying there inspecting stuff? Or are you running with your group?
Are they making a lot of noise? I feel like I want to pick something up and I want to chuck it in the opposite direction that they went in, and then I'm gonna, I guess, like scamper after them.
Okay. So, I would like for you all to defy danger as a group.
Hey.
I'm going to say that Piper, you could roll plus intelligence with your quick thinking, and Luca and Lucius with dexterity because you're trying to move quickly.
Is this the struggle as one?
Yes.
Okay.
That's. I'm trying it out. I haven't used that move before, so let's give this a try.
What am I rolling again? Sorry.
In your case, Dex. You and
Okay.
Luca are rolling Dex. Just 2d6 plus your Dex for you two and intelligence for Piper.
Oh boy. Ooh, 10.
5.
5.
Do I mark experience?
Yes. Yeah, don't forget, anytime you roll 6 or less, mark XP.
Oh, don't
Oh,
mark
like
experience if somebody saves.
Saves you. Yeah, okay, so hang on to it because we'll see. It depends on what Luca does. What you got, Luca?
Oh, 7. Or sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, not 7. 9.
9. Okay. Yeah, no, mark XP, Lucius, because nobody got a 10 plus. So.
I got 10.
Wait, you?
Oh yeah, that's fair. So,
Okay.
here's what's happening. Let me describe the situation, and then we can see, and then I'll give Piper a chance to see if they can get Lucius out of the spot.
Mm-hmm.
This proboscis that I said was starting to pulse and grow red now starts to spew that same ichor. It's just bleh, bleh, bleh. The same ichor that you recognize from the other location is now being just spurted all over this big room. Piper, you picked up some piece of equipment and threw it the other way. Tell us about how you might try to get Lucius out of a spot, if you want to. You don't have to.
I mean, part of me kind of wants. Can I cast a thing?
Well, you're doing it with your action of trying to throw something the other way. So, although if you want to try, that's true. If you want to try to cast a spell, you can give it a try.
Oh,
You have a spell that could, I mean,
Yeah. What spell are you going to try to cast?
I mean, I was going. Part of me kind of wants to cast like a holy weapon and like conjure an umbrella,
Whew. Well,
That'd be great.
or like a giant leaf, a leaf umbrella. I don't know if umbrellas exist.
they do now.
They do now. I say
Right.
a giant umbrella.
Okay, this is one of the spells you've got prepared, so roll
It
plus
is a
whiz
spell.
and see what happens.
Please let this work. That failed miserably. It's a 5.
Okay, so both of you do mark the XP.
okay.
I think what happens is that your leaf umbrella does appear for a moment, but it doesn't appear where you wanted it to. It appears directly above that proboscis, and instead it just sort of redirects the ichor. Instead of it spewing up and around, it just gets pushed back in your directions, and now this ichor is flowing on the floor right at your feet for both of you. Luca, you have pulled off into this other room, and you look around, and it was clearly. Don't worry, I'm coming back to Piper and Lucius in a second. Oh, y'all can just sit there and think about all this nasty otherworldly goop being excreted at your feet. But Luca, in this other room, it's like some sort of a ready room, right? Not weapons exactly, but there's all sorts of small tools and equipment there. One thing grabs your attention, though, because it looks different than everything else. There is this twisted, not quite a spiral, like think of like a long spike, kind of, maybe about 4 feet, no, more like 8 feet tall. But instead of it being just smooth, it's like twisted itself, like a kind of like a screw or no, more like a drill bit might be. But it stands out. It looks sort of naturalistic, unlike all the other manufactured stuff in here. And it's this kind of off-white color. Luca, what do you do?
I want to see what that is and if it can help, because it's intact still.
Yep,
Right?
it is definitely intact.
Okay. Maybe somebody had come in after us, and maybe that's the reason this stuff hasn't gotten any further than it has. So I'm gonna investigate that.
So when you grab it, you start to hear these whispers. You feel a little bit more powerful, but you hear these strange thoughts.
Mistakes were made.
But you do feel more powerful. So as you kind of look back in the room. Oh, thank you, Scosi. As you look back in the main cavern, you realize this thing in your hand could drill right into that proboscis if you wanted. But you hear whispers, you hear thoughts in your mind, something from out of this world telling you, no, defend it, protect it.
Can I resist that thought?
You can you don't. It's not. You are not being compelled. It's just telling you to.
Okay.
No. You're for the moment at least. Your will is your own, but you know in your heart of hearts that this thing could hurt the proboscis. Back to Piper and Lucius while Luca is thinking about all the whispers from other planes of existence. This goop is right at your feet, and it's doing that sort of kaleidoscope thing that we talked about before, and where you can look in, and it's like you're seeing directly into the void. What do you two do?
I'm like hopping on my feet, trying to avoid the grossness.
Could I spend a readiness, like, to basically pick them up and just take the whatever gross stuff on the floor, just me.
Okay, so like you kind of run over there. You're not that far, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can spend a readiness.
So what would that look
That
like?
looks to me like drawing attention from your ward to yourself.
Okay. Is this something that would make us take damage? Or
Not yet.
okay. Yeah, I'm
It
drawing
can. It absolutely can. But we haven't gotten there yet. So Piper, Lucius is kind of like trying to get in front of between you and this Ichor. You look like you're trying to think of something, Piper.
I am. Would this
Whoa.
ichor be classified as a food or drink?
I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's certainly not intended as a food or drink. So if you're thinking about purify food and drink, yeah. I think if there was water on the floor here, you probably could. But this stuff itself is from another reality entirely.
Okay. This is gross. I guess I'm clambering up onto
Okay,
Lucius.
this makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, Luca, you've had a moment, and the whispers tell you to defend the proboscis. But your friends are surrounded by this thing. What do you do?
One moment, and I will get right back to you.
Fair. Okay. While Ford is taking care of business, Piper and so let's do this. This
I have an idea.
This Ichor is starting to flow freely around the room. And you can see where it touches some of the equipment. Some of that equipment, like it does that thing where it kind of flickers in and out of existence. And a few pieces like just disappear. Like they were almost like they were teleported away.
Lucius, get out of the goo.
Yeah.
Get out of the goo.
I'm trying. My legs are too thick. It's not easy to. My legs are so low to the ground. I can't really raise them up high enough.
You should be able to raise it real high, but yeah, maybe you're just not that flexible.
Yeah, I tried to like slowly walk out into a different room where there isn't Ichor on the floor.
Oh, okay.
How deep is the ichor?
As it's starting to ooze out, nearest the proboscis, where it's just kind of oozing out, it's probably 6 or 8 inches thick on the ground, and then it kind of oozes out to the edges where it's thin, but it's like creeping along. So, Lucius, you said that you're trying to run into a different room. Can you give me a defy danger with either dex or strength, depending on how you're doing it?
I think I'm like powering through it.
Okay. You're just like maybe just bursting through some of the equipment, like shoving it aside while you've got Piper on your back. Mm-hmm. All right, so yeah, plus strength. That's good. Kool-Aid Man again.
Got a 5 plus 1. That's a 6.
Plus your strength.
Yeah, that's the 6. I'm gonna spend an XP. Make it a 7.
Okay. Oh, all right. Cool. In that case, let's just see. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you have a choice. You can burst through, but probably it's going to knock Piper off of you. Or you're going to end up kind of falling, and Piper will be okay, but you're probably going to fall into a little bit of the Ichor.
Could I possibly throw her into the other room?
Yeah, why don't we have you spend a readiness to do that? Okay. Yeah, as you toss her into this room, and this room that Piper, as you're kind of flying through the air, I imagine like all of your limbs windmilling through the air.
I don't have wings. I'm not metal.
I'm sorry.
This chamber ahead of you, you observe as you pass through this very large, very wide archway. It's not so much tall as it is wide, right? So it would be like the frame around double doors, right? There's all these runes and scribblings glowing with a faint blue light around the edge of it. And when you look around, the floor has all these different glowing white circles on it where you are, Piper. And there's this calm blue light suffusing the air around you. Meanwhile, Lucius, you are face down, centimeters away from this ichor. What are you doing?
Can I guess I'm gonna try and get up and attack the thing.
Oh, all right.
I'm just like done. I'm like, maybe I might like. Did my load reset and harm reset?
Your
my HP and my load.
Your
Like
HP
gear.
when you guys didn't do another make camp, or we could say you probably recovered. So
Okay.
you could have we could do a little flashback as it were here. You could have expended one use of supplies and regained 5 HP. That would have made sense.
Did my gear reset, or is it still?
No, not unless you're like dumped off stuff that you were carrying.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I used up all my gear last time, so
But you still should still have whatever
I
weapons.
can
You didn't get rid of your
I still
weapons.
use a thing of supplies. I still have like uses of supplies, so I can spend that.
Yeah.
How much do I heal?
5 HP.
Okay.
Or as my friend Val would say, HP.
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 And
We love you, Val.
Yeah.
Val's like my little niece.
so I guess I still have my pole arm from before.
I think you had pushed the.
Yeah.
But
I
you still
my
have your
axe.
axe. Yes,
Yeah.
you have your axe. For
I
sure.
don't- I'm assuming I can't really get into close distance with the thing.
With not with the proboscis, but with some of the ichor, you could. It's
Are
because it's
these
right
like-
next to you.
Oh, these are like containers of ichor.
No. The ichor has been spewed out and is spewing out over everything. So you're a little ways away from the center part of the room where this thing is coming up. But the ichor is like spreading around you like nasty jelly from another world.
Yeah. Could I smite it then?
Jesse, your face. Could you? I'm sorry. What was that, Lucius?
Could I smite it?
You can certainly try.
Okay. I'm gonna try and smite it.
Proboscis jelly.
Yeah. I don't have to make a roll to get up, right?
No.
Okay.
What?
So that is a 6.
Total?
Yeah,
What was that?
it's a 6.
6. I heard. Oh, I thought Piper was like, you can if you want. Okay.
Sorry, I was talking to my roommate.
Sorry. No, I was looking at a different screen at the time because I was looking at something on the PDF here. Okay, so mark XP. And instead, what's going to happen is that this ichor oozes onto your arm. And first of all, take D6 damage.
D6. 5. Ugh, it just healed that.
It's a good thing you healed it, though, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. And in your mind, it's like you are plunging through different realities, just, and you're falling through a kaleidoscope. And so you're also going to be temporarily dazed. Take that dazed ability.
Oof.
Oof.
Which means you have disadvantage on wisdom and intelligence checks until you can take a few minutes to clear your head. So basically just get out of the fight, effectively. Luca. While Luca was contemplating the other voices, kind of appropriately, right? That worked out.
Yeah.
while Luca was doing that, Piper scrambled up on Lucius's back. Lucius took off running, but tripped as he was trying to push through the equipment. Threw Piper into another room, and fell. And now the ichor has started to ooze onto his arm. You should go protect the ichor from Lucius. This is not a compel. This is just what the voices are telling you to do. But it is not overwhelming your. It's not like magically forcing you to do anything.
Okay, so there are 1,000,001 thoughts running through my head, hence why I was stuck, just kind of standing there for a moment.
No, it's perfect.
One of those thoughts that is really, really pushing back against this is I'm not gonna be the reason that everybody is dead. So I'm gonna use this against the ichor, or try to. The proboscis, really, because it's making this.
All right.
Stuff.
So this reality spike, I will tell you, has reach or can be thrown. Do you want to try to throw it, or do you want to kind of run up and try to jab it, like it's almost like a long spear, kind of?
Okay, so I'm not very strong, but I can throw things real good.
All right.
As proved by that rock.
Right. So give me a volley, if you would. So 2d6 plus your dex.
4.
He's
I'm sorry, did you say 4?
I said 4.
4.
4?
4.
All right.
God.
So here's what happens. You just haul back and you give this thing the best javelin throw. Like, you do get some power behind this. The problem is that you're so nervous that instead it doesn't hit you just throw it and it just kind of goes up, and instead of kind of arcing over, you throw it way too hard, and it impinges into the ceiling right above the proboscis. And where it does, you start to see these concentric circles start to pulse outwards. And after a moment, ichor starts to flow out of the ceiling from where that thing was down. And now the flow in the room has increased.
No.
Piper, you're in this room with
Okay.
it was like there were no actual doors there. It was like a doorway the size of double doors with these faintly glowing runes around it, and the room itself is suffused with blue light. There are like half a dozen. The floor itself is kind of this light blue, almost like carpet, but scattered around it, or not scattered, but placed within it, are 6 glowing white circles. And you hear a voice, not in your head, like literally there's like a speaker, and you hear the same voice of Isaac's, of that Dragonkin AI from before, say, "Name your destination, please."
What are the names of the destinations from last session that I...
We said Viora Town and Icall were your Icall was your village. Viora Town was the city where you want to go to, but your friends are still out in the room, in the main hallway that is.
Name my destination.
But they're not in the room with you.
I know. I don't have time for this right now. I want to run back out. Can I throw my sacred oil at...
Absolutely you can. What is your sacred oil? Tell us about this.
So my sacred oil is oil that we use, clerics use, to help heal or maintain cyborg parts on...
Are you carrying around Blessed WD-40?
Yes.
When you said oil, I was thinking like olive oil, some kind of like like
Anointment.
Exactly. Like,
No.
anoint the priest with oil. I wasn't expecting like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz.
Clerics heal both humanoids and cyborgs.
Fair.
You
Very
know?
fair.
And
So-
robots.
And robots. And straight up robots. And
Straight up robots.
it's magical. So it's
So magical.
so magical. And I want to. I see the Ichor touching Lucius's hand, and I just yell, "Get away from my wall friend!" And I chuck it.
So tell me about this. Is this a cleric thing that you have that you can do?
It's a small item that is in my possession.
Okay, all right. So, okay, and it burns the unholy. I got what you're doing. Okay, yeah. No, this is great. The fiction comes first, and then we figure out the mechanics around it if there are any. No,
Exactly.
it's just great. I love where you took sacred oil and you put this whole other spin on it. So give me a volley. Give me a 2d6 plus dex. Let's see if you can throw better than Luca.
11.
Okay. Where you throw this, are you throwing it towards where Lucius is, or where towards all the stuff is flowing into the room?
I said Lucius,
Okay.
but
In between, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to free him.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think then that the sacred oil, where it lands on the Ichor, you see it start to burn. You see this kind of blackish smoke start to come up as it kind of burns it. And I will say that, Lucius, if you want, you have an opportunity to try to get away real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna make for it. I come to in that moment, like, oh shit, and I start to, I guess, run to Piper.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're running to Piper. All right. I'm going to say that based on Piper getting that roll, you can do that without having to make a defy danger roll because they opened up that opportunity for you to do it. And you took advantage of that. Luca, though, you no longer hear those voices. By the way, as soon as you threw that spike, that long javelin thing, you don't hear those voices anymore. What do you do? The room is just filling with this stuff now.
There's not a whole lot I can do because I'm pretty sure Ichor doesn't need sleep. So I don't really have anything for controlling it. But if it could sleep, I would really want to sing this little lullaby. At the very least, I'm singing it for myself to calm my nerves.
Okay, we could just say you are definitely having this calming effect on yourself, trying to keep control of yourself. So are you just going to stand there and sing?
I'm gonna continue searching this room for something I can fight with because a sword isn't gonna save me against Ichor, and there's a lot more of it than I think I can traverse safely.
All right. So
Is that spear stuck in the ceiling?
yes.
And it's making more Ichor.
And where it hit, it's like somehow something opened up, and this wellspring of chaos goop is now spilling out of the ceiling, as well as being pulsed out of this thing. Why doesn't Luca give me a discern realities then?
Okay. If I fail that too. Okay, a 7. Thankfully, a 7.
All right. So you can look at discern realities and ask one of those questions.
Okay. What here is useful or valuable to me?
What here?
It's probably in the ceiling, isn't it? The one thing.
So you're looking at. You're not sure about all of this equipment here. There are these little handheld screens and devices. There are what seem like some kind of specialized hand tools, but you can't quite tell what they do. At least not at first glance, anyway. Not at just a glance. Maybe you could figure it out if you spent some time fiddling with it. You're smart. You could probably figure it out. And I would say that the thing that is most useful and valuable to you is probably in this room. Yeah, I think there's a little. You're kind of fiddling. You're grabbing everything. There's one thing that looks like almost like a blow dryer, right? It's this kind of handheld L shape, and you grab. It's got like a grip on it, and you realize it's not a blow dryer. It's not exactly a gun, but what it is sort of a hand torch. You know, we might think of like an acetylene torch where and you know, we put the kind of the bottle kind of towards the bottom, and this is almost the reverse of that. There's like a grip in the bottle here and a little flame, and you could maybe use it to try to burn some way through the ichor if you wanted.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Fire.
Yep.
Fire.
I'm sure it's gonna be fine. Is that okay? So why don't you give me a defy danger with intelligence to apply this expertise that you have to try to figure out how to kind of carefully burn your way over to the other two in this room where they are.
So that's 9 total.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you're starting to burn your way through, but at some point to get through it, you're going to kind of have to stand there against the ichor because it's kind of a little bit thicker in some place. And in order for you to burn it, it's going to take a moment, and you're going to kind of expose yourself to the danger of the ichor. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, what are you doing?
Can I pass across near the proboscis, though? Like,
Yeah. If you kind of want to make your way past it, yeah. Why?
I want to make a parting shot at the thing because it's awful.
Okay, so, this you are fighting in close quarters. So roll plus strength. This is hack and slash sort of.
Okay.
You're trying to kind of force your way over there around all of this debris and whatnot.
Nope. That is a 5 total. But thankfully, thanks to having failed so much, I have leveled up. And I have taken Duelist's Parry. I, in my panic, have remembered the training that I was given so many years ago. And I can have 2 armored while hack and slash is in effect.
Oh, right. That's great.
Nice.
Because
So I won't die outright, hopefully.
what's going to happen is that as you're getting close, you're not really paying attention at first. And there's another pulse of this stuff that's about to shower down on you. And you can kind of parry it a little bit with your laser torch. So roll d6, and you'll take that as damage, but now you have 2 armor during it, so you'll subtract 2 from it.
2 damage negated by that armor.
Oh, right, yeah, so it's falling on you, and you kind of like burn it away right before it does. Right before it touches on you. Good job!
I am squealing the whole while because this was a terrible mistake. What was I thinking?
All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Luca is going to figure out how he's going to get over to his friends, or his friends are going to figure out how they're going to go out and save him, and maybe either destroy the proboscis or not, and see what happens. So we'll be back in about five-ish minutes while folks apparently get their drink on, for at least one person has commented, right? Okay, we'll be right back. Hello, we are back. Ozzy, say hi. Say hi to the internet. Say hello, internet. I gotta hold you up where you're above the nameplate.
he just peeked up.
Yeah, no, he's all right.
Look
He
at
just wants to
him.
know what's
Sweetheart.
happening. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. You want back down, or are you gonna stay with Poppy? What you want? Nope, nope, nope. You want to stay right here. That's fine.
Yay!
That's okay. You won't be able to see him much because right now he just wants to relax in the lap, and that's okay. Okay, where? Oh, yes. Luca was right up by the proboscis, trying to make a mark on it unsuccessfully. No, don't lick the microphone. Nobody's going to like the way that sounds.
I feel like that'd be a fitting sound effect.
Yes, but look, that face is so much better. Right? Okay, so, Luca, you are there by this extraplanar insertion into the world. Piper and Lucius are in this other room. They're looking right out and they can see you. And they just hear this voice repeating every few minutes. Query. What is your destination? What do you all do?
It's asking for our destination.
Yep.
Yeah.
Aww.
Oh.
You didn't see anything.
It's fine. Don't be embarrassed.
What do you call it? What's that? What's that when you need to get sanitized? Is there like a decontamination chamber?
Okay, now only two of you are in the room. Is that what you want to do? I'm giving you the choice.
Oh, I mean, are we getting teleported? Oh, we're getting teleported.
Wait. Am I in the room?
You are
Let's
in the
get
room
over here.
with
Right. Yeah.
Piper.
We need to get Luca over here. I want to cast Rebuke Anathema and what?
Oh yeah. Oh, you're gonna fight back against the thing.
I wanna clear a path.
Okay.
Thingy!
All right. So first of all,
Hit the thingy, Luca.
First of all, what is remind us what does the symbol of your god look like?
The symbol of my god is like a woman reaching up, but it actually is like morphing into a tree.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So why don't you give us that cast a spell roll as you brandish this symbol?
Please. 8, 9.
9. You cast it, but pick one from that list. Your divine power weakens. You'll lose the spell. You don't have favor right now. Or you could draw unwanted attention to put yourself in a spot. Any of those 3.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry. Real life, this big spider just like. Oh.
I think
Really, friend.
I'm going to choose, and I'm going to hate myself for choosing this, but I think it'd make great game flavor. Lose the spell after it is cast.
Okay. So, for a moment, your symbol flares straight towards Luca. And where it does, it's like Moses parting the waters. The ichor is like pushed. You see it split in two and be pushed to the side. Yeah, buddy, I love you too. Everybody else is gone right now. It's just me and the boy at home.
You need some loving.
He does. He's been alone for like an hour, and then he loves coming to see the top of my desk because he doesn't usually get to see it. So I think what happens is, as it does that, you see this blackish purple, blackish reddish, really, line sort of crack appear in the side of the proboscis, and it flares out back towards your holy symbol, and you kind of stumble back as its extraplanar power hits you, and that's how you know that you've lost the ability to rebuke anathema for now, until you can prepare spells again.
Okay.
But for now, Luca, you have your chance. Are you going to break towards them, or are you going to stay where you are?
Gonna break towards them, and as I go, like, I'm pretty much running backwards, just spraying fire as I go, because, like, I don't know what else to do, and, like, I'm probably gonna trip, and this is gonna go badly.
Okay, so if you're going to keep fighting as you go, give me another hack and slash roll.
Yee. Another failure.
Really?
I got
Wow.
3 total.
You got a what?
3 total.
3 total.
Oh my god.
40,
like-
you got to get new dice. I can't even believe. Normally, I'm never like, oh, dice are not the problem, but holy cow. Like they're weighted against you or something. But do you want to go wait at the door now? Mom's gonna be
Retire
home
those
soon.
2 and use the brothers and hope that maybe that saves me.
Okay. So as you're doing that, you're taking what's happening is you're just taking your time doing it, and you're burning here and burning there and burning everywhere, but this vault is just starting to fill with this stuff.
Get your claws over here.
And eventually you do make it over there, but that's because you're almost forced back into this extra side room because the main giant hallway is filled with Chaos Ichor. What do the 3 of you do in this room?
Okay.
Query. Destination, please.
It keeps telling us that, and maybe we need to go to like a decontamination room, or maybe there's an armory. I don't know.
I would think I was just in the armory, sort of. It wasn't very helpful. But maybe there's a decontamination room that could help.
Should we try decontamination room? I mean, I threw my sacred oil and it fizzled away, which was gross.
You have more of that sacred oil.
I don't have any more of that sacred oil right now.
Maybe later.
Shoot. How do I talk to this guy again? Oh, no. Destination decontamination room?
Who said that? Was that Luca?
I guess.
Luca, can you roll plus intelligence, please?
Don't fail me, dice.
Come on.
Okay. We got an 8.
Okay.
Wait, what's that?
I don't like that.
No, I just have to make a choice now. It's not bad. No, now, so you are in. So to pull back the curtain a tiny bit, you're in a teleportation room, which is a room-sized magical apparatus. When you enter and say aloud the name of a location, roll plus int. On a 7 to 9, the GM chooses a safe location nearby. So you're going to a safe location nearby. I think that, and you said decontaminate. Oh, okay. Yeah, you said decontamination chamber, but you weren't quite sure where that is. You don't really know of one nearby. So the teleportation room did its best to accommodate your request. And all of you find yourselves about 3 feet above a nearby pond. When you kind of it's like a Star Trek transporter. You hear the whoosh, and then when you reappear in the new place, whoosh, you're about 3 feet in the air above a pond, and then as the teleportation magic concludes, splash! You fall into the clear blue sparkling water of a natural pond. Decontamination. But it's not like that nasty ichor. At least this is from your world, and it's, it's clean. It's not like, clogged with algae and litter and stuff like that, like my local park pond.
It's just like the sudden. We were in a chamber, and now we're in water.
How deep is the water?
Oh, not that. I would say that it's probably about 7 or 8 feet, so that Lucius, he could stand on the bottom, and it comes up to like his neck or so. It's about how deep it is, about neck deep for him. For the other two, you're gonna have to swim somehow.
And it's especially neck deep because I just stink. Like I don't float at all.
Well, I mean, you've got all this metal embedded into your body. Yeah, that makes sense, right?
I'm gonna say Piper's. I have lots of skirts and satchels, and they're very heavy when they get wet. Kind of.
All right, so you just splash into the water, and you're kind of flailing there in your skirts and satchels. What is Luca doing?
Like, I was shocked by the wet, and so I flailed and looked kind of like a bird in the water for a moment. But then when I realized that it was safety, I just kind of float for a bit, like, oh, this isn't so bad. I kind of paddle my little feet, and I'm just paddling along, just kind of like an otter on my back, just chilling.
You're like clutching something.
And like, if I float by Piper and I see she's struggling, I'm gonna kind of pick her up and put her on my belly because, like, oh, clearly.
So I just want to get this straight. We have an elf dragon cloud swimming on their back, clutching the gnome to their chest, while the cyborg troll just sort of walks through what is for him the neck-deep water.
I like to think that I'm not really being clutched, more like sitting on Luca's chest. Like,
I mean, you are like almost half Luca's size.
That's true. So, when I said decontamination chamber, this isn't quite what I had in mind.
Me either.
But I'm okay with it. It's fine. Are we still in the vault? Is the sky that I see above
you
my
see
head?
You see the sky above you. It's late in the day. And you can see the entrance to that same vault that you were just in a few hundred yards away. Like, you're not far away. You're nearby. Except that where that moss hologram was, you see that stuff starting to ooze out of it. Starting to pulse out.
I'm so sorry, guys.
No,
I tried.
it's okay. It's okay. Maybe we need some more information against this stuff. Maybe we need a lot more sacred oil. I think we need a lot more sacred oil.
Maybe we can get some more, like, clerics to help us.
It's definitely unholy. We definitely need to cleanse this place. There's everywhere.
I also have sacred oil, but I don't have any gear left to like actually have it. Yeah, have it, use it.
So what? Go to Vior and hand over these notes, I guess. I don't know. I don't even have an idea of who to talk to on how to cleanse this stuff. That's not really my expertise.
I mean, if we sit and take a moment, I can make some more sacred oil. Can I have supplies? I have supplies. And I can produce small items with my supplies. Use supplies to produce a common small item.
Okay.
No idea.
Will it be enough to get everything?
I don't think it'll work against the gross proboscis, but and we need a lot of. We don't have enough. Maybe we should have gone to the town.
We can still go.
We know more-ish. We
Yes.
know about the proboscis. That's new.
We know there are some sort of teleportation devices in use.
Oh, I know what I can ask. I can ask about fancy weapons for like fighting the void. That's what I can do when I get there.
What if we just put the oil on our weapons?
I was just going to suggest that.
That way we don't have to waste a whole thing with just throwing a whole thing of oil. We could just divvy it up amongst our weapons.
I think that's a really good idea. And maybe once Nettle wakes up from her nap, she can help us out.
Oh, I can just imagine the trouble that would have happened if Nettle was here.
That makes me wonder, where's Saoirse? Is she out hunting? She must be out hunting.
I think so.
Yeah, for sure.
So, help me understand, are you planning on applying the sacred oil that you have to your weapons, or are you planning to go get some sacred oil and apply it to your weapons?
I don't think we have any sacred oil on us. I think we have
if I use supplies, which I have, if I use a use of supplies, I can use that to produce it says a common small item. I don't know if that would count.
I would say that one use of your small items is enough for one person's weapon.
Okay. I also have one use of supplies to do the same, so we could have two.
Okay.
But do you have? Does your character sheet have sacred oil?
No. I have supplies I can give to one of you. Maybe.
I don't think that your
that's not how it
supplies.
works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good try.
Good effort.
No.
Are you
I guess
asking?
I'm just-
Are you asking me, Jimmy? Yes.
What? What do you mean? I have a single use of supplies that I can still use for sacred oil.
Because he does have sacred oil on his list.
Okay. Yeah.
So we could, at most, do 2 weapons, unless we want to go to a town and get more. Or maybe we can milk it out of one of these robotic cows.
I can't believe those are words that just got said. Let's milk the oil out of the robotic cows.
Maybe we can find some robotic bird eggs and crack
Wait.
one open.
Where the bad news bears?
Bad news bears?
Bad news bears. Were they robotic at all? I forget.
Yeah, they were like gross.
But it's not just that they were. They also it also has to be sacred, right?
Yeah. I can sanctify it.
Is that one of your things?
Yeah, sanctify. Consecrate food or drink that you hold. It is purified of poison, taint, or disease. We could modify it.
So that it works for oil.
As
Let me
a
go
cleric.
take a look at that real quick.
Oh,
Yeah, oil is not food or drink.
Well,
Especially not WD-40.
What
Kids,
about
any kids
what about
watching,
for cyborgs?
please.
What about for cyborgs?
Okay, I don't think you drink it exactly.
maybe to clear up some throat itchiness.
It's like when you put vodka to treat a wound. It's the you know.
Okay. While you're all talking about this sacred oil, by the way, where I said that the ichor was starting to come through where you saw that square moss, that whole large rocky outcropping that I said it was embedded into, you see it starting to flicker in and out of reality. Because that whole vault is filled with that stuff now.
I mean, if it flickers out of reality, we don't need to worry about it, right?
Not if it takes everyone else with it.
I mean,
I don't know what to do.
I think we need to go back to the town and chop and get some more.
Can I try and smite it? I'm gonna pour my last supply of sacred oil on my axe and just try and slice through it now that it has the oil on it.
Sure. All right, so you charge up to the flickering rocky hill, bursting with ichor from another plane of reality, dissolving reality itself, warping the very existence of space and time and matter and energy. And you rush up with your axe that's covered in oil.
Yes.
All right.
Wait. Can I bless him?
Absolutely, you can do that.
Oh my God, please, I'm gonna bless you.
Gesundheit. 2d6 plus your wisdom.
10, 12.
All right. So you cast it successfully. So
what does blessing me do?
You have advantage, and she has disadvantage. As long as you are she has disadvantage to cast a spell as long as you stand and fight because you'll have advantage. It's like concentration.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So 3d6, take the two highest, and add whatever the modifier is for your smite.
11.
Ooh, okay. So
on a 10 plus, deal your damage and pick one from the list below. Deal an extra damage, ignore armor, suppress one of its unnatural powers, or force it from its host.
What are you going to choose to do?
Do I roll for damage for it? Does it have health? Or
this thing is so large and so much out of scale from a personal level at this point that I'll just straight up tell you damage isn't going to be helpful here.
Well, I'm going to force it from its host, I guess, like I did with the last sort of the other dungeon area thing.
Okay.
Or like, I'm not sure what would the host be like the.
I think at this point it has spilled out of its host.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to. Oh, it's spilled out of its host.
It's starting to spill out, right? Because now it's overflowing and dissolving reality as we know it.
Then I'll suppress one of its unnatural powers to make it not dissolve reality. Because that's pretty unnatural, dissolving reality.
I think that's certainly the case. It is certainly an unnatural, at least nature as far as within our universe. Mm-hmm. So you strike it, and again, tell us again about how the holy light flares within you. Tell us about that again.
Yeah. So it's like lights underneath like the panels and like different like little bolted on pieces, like little like light kind of emanates from that sort of I think I said it was almost fluorescent-ish.
Right.
And it's very blinding. And I think the oil on my axe also begins to glow with that sort of same kind of artificial sheen, artificial luminescence. And
as you do, suddenly there's like like scan lines, right, from something that's kind of phasing back in, and the rocky outcropping, that hill, suddenly bloop, stops. It has that for a moment and then stops flickering and is present. The Icarus is still there, but it's not dissolving the entire hill and the entire earth around it now.
Yeah.
Piper
Okay.
and Luca, you see him just rush up to do this. And by the what do you two do?
I'm cheering. I'm going, go, Lucius. I'm just dripping wet. I'm just standing there like, I don't even know what to make of this because, like, this is A, amazing, and B, terrifying. So I'm just kind of frozen here.
The surface of the pond starts to not flicker exactly. It's the surface itself, where it normally is reflecting the sky. You look, and it's instead turning into like static on like an old TV tuned to the wrong channel.
Okay.
And you see it has that effect when somebody's trying to tune something in, and you see something fade in, and you see as you look at this thing, instead of the sky in the pond, and all three of you can see this, you see what looks like the not face, but the end of but it's giant, right? Because it's almost the whole surface of the pond, of the kind of the end of a worm, and you know how when there's sound and water in a glass starts to have those concentric circles of waves. This thing begins. You hear this deep voice echoing in the around you outside of the world, and as it does, the pond is kind of pulsating, like in Jurassic Park or whatever, right, when the T-Rex is running.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you hear this voice say, "We will dissolve your reality and make it part of our own. You cannot defeat Agumur."
That's a name to write down.
Yeah, I know. Scrambling for notes.
Okay. I'm gonna do my research because I'm a good scholar.
Lucius
I
already forgot the name.
Agumor.
I and we and us and mine shall dissolve and infect. Agumur has spoken it, and so it shall be.
Can I smite him again?
Please do.
Is this
Please,
in the lake? This is the lake. Are we still in the lake?
You're just no, you're not still in the lake. You're kind of like, I imagine you're kind of like standing kind of on the shore of it because you were watching Lucius run up to that thing, and it's not that he's there. It's like he's using the surface of the pond to project an image that you can see.
Well, can I smite it?
Can it be a spite smite?
So he's not physically there.
Okay.
You could, if you hit the water, it's just going to make a little splash in the water.
Yeah, I just try to and
Yeah,
it's not doing anything.
you do that, yeah, and you're flaring again and again and again, but you're just chopping your axe into the water.
I think now is a good time to talk to someone who might know more about what's going on.
But I have an idea. If these things are like reality-eating chaos monsters, we need something that like exudes order, right? So like, if we find the right kind of weapon or object or whatever that does order as like its thing, maybe that'll work.
I feel like you're a very orderly person. Can we just chuck you in?
No.
Okay, scratch that. Not a good idea. I feel like
I am very orderly, and I stick my head into the water.
It's very wet. You're having trouble breathing. There are a bunch of fish, but these fish have like. I think that the fish. I think they're fins. I think that the fins of the fish themselves. I know I keep going back to this thing. I think they no. I think they look like fins on a rocket. The fins on the fish, yeah, and they're kind of just standing there looking at you, Lucius, and they're as you have plunged your head into the water with them, and they're like, because your head's kind of upside.
Do I see anything weird with the water?
Not immediately. You could hold yourself there for a moment and discern realities, but I don't know if you want to hold your head underwater.
Sure.
Well, Lucius is holding his head underwater. I'm going to, because the ichor is still like oozing out, right? The only thing that happened was it lost its reality wiping.
Yes. Correct.
Magic.
You got it.
So,
Go for it.
I rolled a 3.
So you don't get any answers. I'm going to take sort of a hold there. Piper, what was it you were trying to clarify?
I wanted to just be like, this was a decontamination. Like, splash water on the ichor.
Whatever ichor might have been on you has been kind of cleaned off. But, I mean, you could carry, like, you could scoop up a little bit in your hand and run. Remember, I mentioned you're like a few hundred yards away. So by the time you get there, there's not a lot of water left, and you're like, psst, and it just splashes on there. And yep, now the ichor is extra wet.
It's extra slimy.
Extra slimy. As it's being secreted into our world. Okay, so Lucius is holding his head underwater, trying to look around under there. And I think what happens is, instead, the face of this... Imagine this big, eyeless worm face, right, is what you see. Kind of like in Empire Strikes Back, when they have that... and they're in the asteroid, and they fly out, and the worm tries to come out and tries to eat them. That's basically what you're seeing reflected in the water. Okay. And it opens the rest of you are looking, and it opens its mouth, its image rather, opens its mouth, and within its mouth you see all these flailing tentacles, and oh God, you can see forever. And I think what happens is the background to where it is, where before was this pulsing kaleidoscope like you were saying before, suddenly comes into focus, and it's the village of Icall.
No! Not that we can see this, but no!
No, you can see. No, you can see the background behind him, much like the background behind me. Right now, that's what it's like. Right, you're seeing the image of this giant planar worm. That's what I call it in my notes, a planar worm, but not planar like flat. But instead of having that kaleidoscope image behind him, now you see bloop. You see your home village, and he says. My next extrusion into the world begins now.
Help! We need help!
So what are you going to do? You're going to run back to Viora Town to get help, or are you going to run to Icall?
I want, my vote is to run to Viora Town to ask the Lucas person for
advice.
Advice?
but if we go there immediately and can stop it immediately, like, we won't need help.
Yeah, but we don't know how to stop it. We're just gonna chuck flasks of sacred oil at it until we run out of sacred oil?
We also only have one sacred oil. So I want to go there I want to help this village as soon as we can, but I do not think that we have the capacity to without any supplies.
And any knowledge. We were kind of we didn't really last very well against it on the inside with the gross proboscis tube thing. I think we need weapons and knowledge, and otherwise it's just we're going and we'll watch the destruction of ICOM and be powerless to watch it. And I don't want to watch that. I want to help. I need to help. I have to help.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair.
We need to know what we're up against. Agumor. We know that. What is that? Do you know what that is?
It sort of rings bells, but like not really strongly. I think it got mentioned in an old story I heard while I was still in school, but like
So why don't you spout lore? Why don't you roll plus intelligence and let's see if you know anything about it.
that is
Come on, dice.
11.
Oh!
Oh,
Oh, that's better. Something
Better.
interesting and useful and relevant. Let me consult my...
Oh, I should have done that with advantage because I was citing a bardic tale or something, but like, whatever, it worked.
You got the 11 anyway. You couldn't, like, literally... That's as good as it was going to get. What you have heard, what you remember is not actually the name Agumur. What instead you have heard was that in the long ago, in the way back, what few fragmented tales remain of the end of the previous civilization, the end of the world that happened long ago, many, 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 many generations ago. No one even knows exactly how long. Those fragmented tales of however the previous magical technological society fell all seem to revolve around some sort of celestial worm. The motif of a worm keeps coming up in those things. And what you know is that what reminds you of is that this is probably the same being that was responsible for that apocalypse. And the only way that civilization survived was by, rather than focusing on the technological, focusing on the natural.
Okay. Okay, so the tale I'm remembering most strongly, it's called The Hero of Camor, and in it, they face this thing. It's a worm. It's always a worm. All the stories, it's always about a worm. And it's nature. That's how they fight back against it. Oh, shoot. Details. Oh.
the worm is nature, or they fought?
No, the hero. The hero fights back with nature. How? In some tellings, it's that he gets aid from some lady in a lake, and like in some tellings it's like in some tellings it's that the trees themselves like took pity on his plight, but like it's always really desperate straits, and I'd rather it not come to that before we figure out what we need to do.
I mean, if nature was the hero, I feel like we definitely need Nettle to wake up.
I didn't think about. Yeah, good point.
I'm gonna tap on the calf compartment that she's napping in.
Yeah, I think that what it really is, as I'm thinking about this, is that it's finding ways to keep your reality grounded in itself, in life and in the world around you, right? And certainly, as in the case of Lucius, right? It's not that technology is useless, but it has to be fused with who you really are, and that's the way that eventually kind of the previous people that inhabited this world managed to stop whatever it was that the worm was doing, and therefore keep reality from completely imploding on itself. So here is my question to you all as we start to get ready to wrap up for the evening. And y'all can talk about this in character. You can figure out what you're going to do. Are, in fact, you going to Viora Town first? Are you rushing back to iCall? Or, obviously, you always have the third none of the above option, right? I'm not like you have to choose A and B. You can say, hey, I got this other idea. But those are the two things that you have mentioned, and that's why I'm reminding you of those. But I'm not forcing you by any means. I'm trying to think of what to prep for next week. And recall that next week will be the grand finale, the great conclusion. Do you save reality as we know it or not?
I mean,
play to find out. That's how these games work. I don't know.
I mean, ideally.
Ideally, reality is preserved with all its faults and foibles. But where should you plan to head first next week? You could talk about this in character. Y'all could just kind of give us a bit of that discussion, that fiction, because you were talking about it. We got to decide.
Yeah.
If nature is key, then, I mean, it makes me want to go back to my temple and commune with you and talk to the other clerics.
Maybe I should talk to my order and see what they can. If maybe they have any relics that I could use.
Oh, but an outside opinion might be really helpful. Luca?
Don't know how much help I could be just going back. All of the people I can go to for help are in Vior.
Well,
maybe we should split up.
Well, my monastic order is in the same direction.
I thought your monastic order was at iCall. Didn't you have something?
No.
Didn't you have something built into a cliff? I thought you said, or the edge of a cliff, or something.
Yeah, it's on the top of the edge of a cliff, overlooking the town where the rest of them were.
Yeah, that's iCall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got the towns confused. Sorry.
Yeah. Viora Town is the larger city that kind of iCall maybe trades with, etc.
Oh, okay.
And that's where now it's not terribly far away, and thus it's in the same kind of region. And right now you're kind of midway between the two, right? More or less, like the two are about the same distance from you, because that's where Luca had studied, was in Viora Town, and that's why Luca had mentioned last time, as I recall, that he knew somebody there who might be able to help with that biological research data. But now you're trying to decide. You're kind of in between. Do you go to the city and get help, or do you go back to the place that the worm showed you in its projection?
I mean, Luca, you know where to go, right? In your town.
Well, once I get there, yes.
And it's on the way back to iCall.
You are in between. You are in the
Not
middle.
really. I think if I go that way, that's I call, and if I go,
I don't
that
want to say
way-
split up, but maybe we do need to split up.
'cause we need the help. We need the help. But
And a certain higher being that I don't actually have eyes on is making wonderful faces.
Yes, split the party.
I'm so scared to do this. Oh, because what if I get lost? I'm still gonna get lost, but it's okay.
You won't get lost. Just
So who am I going with?
I have a
Who should
map. I have a map.
you have a map.
Can you please help me figure out where we are on this map?
You got to iCall from Bjortown. You
I
can
just took the road.
well, there's a road to go to iCall. You're fine.
If we get back to the road, we're fine.
Lucius, you wanted to go to your temple, which is in iCall.
Yeah, my monastery.
Monastery.
Should I? Who's going to iCall? It's
I
okay.
think I should communicate with the clerics. Because,
Okay, then I'll join you then.
Okay.
So maybe it sounds like, and I'm just trying to make sure that I understand. I'm certainly again not like trying to tell you what to do. It sounds like perhaps Luca wants to go to Viora. Piper and Lucius want to go to iCall. And Nettle will either go back to iCall with the two of you kind of holy-ish types, or maybe go along to protect... I mean, Nettle will tell us next week, right? She can decide. But she might also decide instead to go along and escort Luca to keep Luca out of trouble going back and forth. Right?
Yes. Because if people are in danger in iCall,
I gave you, I don't remember the details. I need to go back and look. I gave you some kind of, or not I gave you, you found some kind of an item last week, didn't you?
didn't you guys find like a USB?
No, that was one of the things, but you also found like the Farsight stone.
Oh, yes.
Right. Who has that? I forgot who held on to it.
I don't think it's.
I think it was you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Luca. Then it must have been Nettle. That's why nobody
Might have
has.
been Nettle.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay,
I'm holding
so-
on to that gauntlet we found the first session.
I'm going to yoink it out.
Okay.
The
So
stone of far sight or far speech?
Farsight stone. Yeah, I'll put that in Zoom chat here. Yeah. That's what it was. And then we could see where things are next week as we, see whether or not we have a curtain call on existence of all things or not. As I said in chat, please save reality. It's where the snacks are.
Yes, we like the snacks. We like the wine. Snacks and wine.
Yes, indeed. I was enjoying a little bit of Havarti cheese and salami a moment ago with my Maker's Mark. Well, we're gonna wrap up for tonight then. Let's go around and just quickly tell us two things or three things, I guess. Remind us who you are, if you want, where people can find you on the internet, if you want that, and what your favorite moment tonight was. So I'm going to go in reverse order and start with Jimmy.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jimmy. You can find me at Demon Bismuth on Twitter and itch.io. And I just released a new Monster Hearts custom skin that I made. So you can check that out. It's called the Vigilante. Sort of like kid superhero. Yeah. And my favorite moment today was I really liked you like the whole description of the sacred oil when you first was like taking it out before like you like told us what it actually did, and you were just kind of like going on this whole thing about like what it is and what you can do with it, and then you finally threw it and it just burned up the entire thing. That was really funny and really cool.
Sacred WD-40.
Cool. How about you, Jesse? Tell us about you on the internet and where people and what your favorite moment was.
So yes, I'm Jessie. You can find me at Who's the Moose on most, if not all, social media platforms. And my favorite moment was when Lucius hucked me like a football and threw me into a room.
Into the teleporters, 3 to beam up.
Yeah. And I guess me then realizing I was teleporting, going, ah! But just Jimmy asking, "Can I throw, Piper?" was
That was a good moment. Yeah.
It was great.
Cool. Forda, how about you? Same questions.
So I'm Forda Vare on most things, but lately I've been on my Tumblr and Instagram under LexArts with 2 X's, all lowercase. My favorite thing that happened, there were a lot of great moments, but I'm still really hung up on the whole, the wall of Lucius just protecting Luca as he's, trying to sneak and fail.
Indeed.
Yeah.
That was a good moment.
My wall friend.
I had so many favorite moments. So many. So I'm just gonna pick one, but please know that they're all so that was good. Luca throwing the spike and missing was among them. So I guess that I'm going to cheat and say 2 because nobody can stop me. One of them was when Piper realized they were in a teleportation room instead of, I don't know what she thought at the beginning, but she was like, "Oh yeah, let's do this." And I was like, "So you're going to leave everybody behind?" You're like, "Wait, what?" And then also getting to finally show off the planar worm. That was the other thing. So both of those were good. So now you've kind of seen the big bad, as it were. So I'm Kyle. You can find me on most social media as TechnoScald. Most, and I say most, that's mostly Twitter and Reddit. And I write a blog called at technoscald.me that's about role-playing games and stuff like that. And in fact, I put up an old version of the front, which is how Dungeon World organizes threats and stuff, that I had used and for my DM prep last night, or GM prep, up on my blog today at technoscald.me. As we're wrapping up, a couple of very quick things. First of all, we miss you, Cole. We hope you're able to be back next week. Also, shout out to VR community member and friend Taryn, who had a car accident and is not. He's going to be fine, but he's had a very bad day. So we love you, brother, and we hope you recuperate.
Feel better, get better. Ugh.
Yeah, it's not great. I didn't like seeing the pictures that I saw.
No.
I'm sorry for my friend. There's a bunch of other great content coming on Variant Roles. So tomorrow there's a Haunted Whisper and a bunch of American Werewolves in London with our friend Val and a bunch of other folks happening tomorrow. Yeah, exactly, Emma. He's going to be okay. It's not great. It could be worse though. So, because in the end, he's going to be okay. It's just, ugh. What else? This weekend, As the Sun Burns at 8 o'clock Central. I will be back on Sunday at 11 Central for Gothic Brunch. Tune in for the big confrontation with the Necromancer that they have been pursuing for a long time. Old Myth Season 2. At then 2 o'clock on Sunday, and then there's Sunday is full. Like, you could turn in pretty much any time Sunday afternoon or evening, and there's stuff happening here. And then next Monday, back with Saltmarsh and Hellbind 7, which is a new game that I think just started last night. Other than that, thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate all of you three playing and entertaining me for the evening. And we'll catch everybody next week. Bye.
Bye.